The Shroud of Turin, arguably the most controversial artifact in human history. For centuries, it has been an object of absolute veneration for the faithful and a target of relentless skepticism for the scientific community. But just recently, a new finding published in the academic journal Archaeometry has silenced both sides. When artificial intelligence began to scan the ancient fibers of the cloth, strange patterns lit up on the screen. These weren't random stains of blood or age. The neural network detected hidden geometries, intricate, symmetrical structures invisible to the naked eye that statistically could not have appeared by chance. The research team held their breath. What they were seeing looked like a secret message, a code embedded in the fabric 2,000 years ago. Why does a piece of linen have the power to make scientists shiver? And is it possible that modern technology has accidentally touched upon a truth we were never meant to see? Today, we are going to deconstruct this mystery. From the first photograph in 1898 that nearly caused a heart attack to the latest AI data which suggests the image on the shroud is not the result of art, but of an event that defies the laws of physics. Part 1. The negative that changed the world. Imagine a piece of coarse linen cloth, about 4.4 meters long. On it lies a faint, barely visible shadow of a man. For nearly 2 millennia, people looked at it and saw only a blur. But everything changed on May 28, 1898. An amateur photographer named Secondo Pia received permission to take the very first photograph of the shroud during an exhibition at the Turin Cathedral. He took the shot, but the real shock came later in the darkroom. As Pia developed the glass plate, he nearly dropped it in terror. On the negative plate, instead of a ghostly blur, a sharp, detailed, positive image of a face appeared. Eyes, a beard, bruises, drops of blood. The face of a man who had endured unspeakable suffering. In that moment, the world realized a terrifying fact. The shroud itself acts as a photographic negative. This discovery exploded the scientific world. How could a middle-aged artist paint a negative hundreds of years before the invention of photography? And more importantly, why? Why create a masterpiece that could only be truly seen centuries later with technology that didn't exist? Part 2. The anatomy of suffering. The shroud is not just a portrait. It is a crime scene report. The cloth has preserved the marks of wounds that match the biblical account with chilling precision, yet contradict medieval artistic traditions. Take the nails, for example. In medieval paintings, Jesus is almost always shown with nails driven through the palms. But on the shroud, the wounds are in the wrists, specifically in the distat space. Anatomically, we now know this is the only place in the hand structure strong enough to support the weight of a human body. A nail in the palm would tear through the flesh. A medieval forger would not have known this. The marks of the scourge, the oval-shaped spear wound in the side, the puncture wounds from a crown of thorns, everything forms a picture that forensic pathologists describe as anatomically perfect. The blood flows in 3 distinct directions, consistent with gravity acting on a body shifting positions while suspended on a cross. This is not a painting. It is a record of reality. But how did it get there? The STURP, Shroud of Turin Research Project in 1978 spent days analyzing the cloth. Their conclusion was baffling. There are no pigments, no brushstrokes, no dyes. The image exists only on the very outermost layer of the fibers. It is ultra-thin, thinner than a human hair. It does not penetrate the cloth. The fibers aren't soaked in paint, they are chemically altered. It is as if something scorched them, but with a precision that lasers today struggle to replicate. Part 3. The radiocarbon dead end. In 1988, it seemed the mystery was finally solved. 3 independent laboratories in Oxford, Zurich, and Arizona performed radiocarbon dating on a sample of the cloth. Their verdict was unanimous. The linen dated to between 1260 and 1390 AD, the Middle Ages. It was a fake. The scientific world exhaled. We told you so. But soon, doubts began to surface. The sample for the analysis had been cut from the very corner of the shroud. This was the area most handled by clergy over the centuries. More importantly, historical records show the shroud was repaired by nuns after a fire in 1532. They wove new cotton threads into the old linen to patch it up. Chemical analysis by researcher Raymond Rogers later revealed that the 1988 sample contained vanillin, a compound that disappears over time. The main body of the shroud has no vanillin, suggesting it is very old. The sample area did have vanillin. This implies the scientists in 1988 may have accurately dated a medieval patch, not the relic. The question of age was blown wide open again. And this is where artificial intelligence enters the story. Part 4. AI sees the invisible. In 2025, a study involving researcher Thomas McAvoy applied machine learning algorithms to high-resolution scans of the shroud. AI did what the human eye could not. It separated the noise, the scorch marks from fires, the water stains, the grime of centuries, from the signal. And it saw a structure. Neural networks identified strange lines of symmetry around the face and chest. The AI was able to reconstruct a three-dimensional model of the man on the cloth. This is the most mind-bending aspect. The intensity of the image on the cloth corresponds directly to the distance between the body and the fabric. It is a 3D topographic map encoded into a 2D image. You cannot paint 3D data. If you take a photograph of a person, it flattens them. But the shroud contains depth information. Even more shocking, the AI detected repeating sequences within the fiber structure, a kind of spatial code. It wasn't chaos, it was ordered information. How could a medieval forger create an image containing 3D topographical data and microscopic codes that could only be deciphered by a computer in the 21st century? Part 5. The Flash Hypothesis. If it isn't paint, and it isn't a scorch from a hot iron, what is it? Modern physics offers a hypothesis that sounds more like science fiction than archaeology: corona discharge or radiation burst. Physicist Giulio Fanti and others have proposed that the image was created by a massive burst of energy, a flash of high-intensity ultraviolet radiation or particle emission that lasted for a fraction of a second. This burst would have oxidized or dehydrated only the topmost layer of the linen, creating a photograph of the body at the moment of transformation, disappearance. Scientists have tried to replicate this with excimer lasers. They managed to create a similar coloration on linen fibers, but only on a microscopic scale. Creating a full body image with that level of detail and 3D encoding is beyond our capabilities even today. Some scientists are now saying it plainly. This image behaves like a phenomenon, not an artifact. It is the trace of an event that physics cannot yet explain. The Shroud of Turin remains the only object in the world that science has studied for 100 years, only to understand less and less. For the faithful, this is physical proof of the resurrection, the moment when a body turned into light, scorching its image onto the fabric of time. For the skeptics, it remains a genius forgery whose creator, whoever they were, possessed knowledge and technology 1,000 years ahead of their time. But AI doesn't choose sides. It just processes data. And the data says this is not just a cloth. It is a storage medium. It is a recording of an event that left a physical trace we cannot reproduce. We are standing on the threshold of a discovery. Perhaps the shroud isn't just a relic of the past, but a message for the future. A message written in the language of light, fibers, and code, which we are only just now learning how to read.